Hello, fellow LEGO train fans. I don't know about you, but ever since I was a kid, I was always fascinated with the LEGO 12-volt train system because of its sheer realism and all the accessories that you could plug in. As you see here before you, here's a very small collection of my LEGO trains. Most of them that you see here are the power functions. However, the 12-volt track, actually the 12-volt sets always fascinated me. I love the 12-volt power pickup in the sleepers. I thought that was a pretty neat feature. But the main feature that I really enjoyed was the push rods that you see on locomotives such as the 7735. I thought this was ingenious because it allowed diesels and steam locomotives to have an ultra-realistic feel and look to them, especially when they moved. A lot of people don't like the gray traction tires on these sets, but I personally love them because I think it gives the locomotive sort of like a stylish feature and something that makes it stand out, and makes the push rods more visible because it draws your eye to it. That being said, with the new power function set and the RC sets, we don't see that push rod action on the small wheels as you see here. Here is a LEGO RC motor, which is basically very plain, looks like the 9-volt motor. It does have a hole in the center for a stud, however no stud actually fits in there. You'd have to make a custom Technic stud in order to mount a third rim like this in the middle, which is possible. It's been done on Eurobrick forums, so I'm not going to explain that in this video. They also have a cover like this, just like the 9-volt system, except there's a notch for the stud, and obviously this sits on the motor like so. Now the purpose of this video, by the way, here's the Emerald Knight, which does have push rods on its wheels. Don't mind this one, it's partially disassembled. Due to the fact that I'm trying to prove a theory in this video, which I'm going to get to right now. So here we have a power functions passenger train. This is obviously a replica of a German train, a German commuter train. Now here, as you can see, is a power functions motor fitted with push rods, just like 12 volt. Now this is just a proof of theory video, therefore the push rods that I'm using in this video are from the Emerald Knight. They're the outrageously oversized ones, so it looks sort of silly, but let me show you what happens when I disassemble this. So basically how it works is like this. There are these Technic studs over here, which they look like this. They come in a huge variety of colors. I've seen them in gray, I've seen them in black, blue. I happen to have yellow ones here on me right now. They have a Technic beam. A Technic beam plugs into this port right here, and then you have a second offset Technic beam on the other side right here. Sorry, my camera is not really focusing very well right now. Anyways, so basically if you look at this, when this turns, it acts almost like the hole on the wheel in the 12 volt series or in the Emerald Knight series, offsetting the push rod and allowing it to basically turn with the wheel and travel with the wheel. Now, when you take your RC motor or your power functions motor, which they both appear identical other than their interior, and obviously their power connectors, as you can see, the Technic rods do come through the wheel on both sides, just because the wheels aren't exactly a full thickness of a brick. They're basically half of a regular Lego brick. I don't know if you can see that, which means that the 6 stud Technic axle actually pops through, and it pops through just enough to mount push rods. So when we take this train, sorry about that, it's a little cramped on the floor here. I'm a little old to be sitting on the floor like this. Should be doing this on a table, but anyways, so when we take these and we fit them to this train like so, they actually end up remaining on the wheel quite perfectly. So here we'll take another one, which is already preset with the bar. Now what I'll do is I'll actually reverse these. Again, this is just proof of theory, so the final model that I will be creating will be slightly different than this, but at least using the yellow parts. Those parts will definitely remain the main parts in use for this. So now when you guide this beam through, sorry, these do stay on when it's running, however to put them on is a little bit finicky. There we go. Okay, so it basically looks like this. So now when the wheels turn, the push rod follows the wheels. Now, in the final model, I will be using a thin push rod like this, or actually thinner than this. This is the one from the Emerald Knight. The thickness is a lot slimmer than this one, the main one from the Emerald Knight. That being said, this is still too thick. I will be looking for the small, skinny Technic pieces that you can also use. They're from the Technic Flex series, I believe. Anyways, and the yellow studs will obviously, the yellow Technic axles here will have to be cut down in this area here. With the thinner system in place, as you can see, you can already see the difference in thickness here. Sorry, the camera is really having a hard time trying to focus. So anyways, if you can, I don't know if you can see, but there's a really big difference in thickness. So with these installed and with these caps put in place, these beams will stick up far too much for a Lego locomotive. Therefore, the yellow part will have to be cut down with a new push rod installed, so it doesn't stick out so much, and so the cap doesn't stick out. So this is actually in the chassis of the locomotive, because as you can tell, looking from the top, the yellow parts don't really stick out all that much. And if you're building an 8-wide locomotive, this system will function quite perfectly in terms of its aesthetic appearance. So let's put this train on this 12-volt track. None of my RC track or 9-volt track is set up, so we'll be using 12-volt for this. Okay, so let's power up the train and take the controller, and we'll see. Let's actually turn it on. Okay, take the controller, and as you can tell, the push rod works perfectly fine. So I'll make the train come around at slower speed first, just so you can see what it looks like. So it functions quite well. I've only installed it onto one side of this train, but as you can tell, it doesn't interfere with the operation of the train whatsoever. It actually runs quite well. So what I'll actually do is I'll reverse this locomotive on the track, just so the push rod is to the inside. So when I hold the camera and it circles around, you can better see how it operates, and I'll run it at a higher speed just to show you that it does not fall off when it's running. So there's the train with the rod going around. So let's give it some more juice, and even faster. Now the rod is spinning like crazy right now, as you can tell. Well, it's probably very hard to see because my frame rate isn't that great on this camera, but let's slow the train down back to normal speed. And as you can tell, the push rods that I've created are still perfectly on the train and they haven't fallen off. So if you're making a small diesel shunter, British, German, actually mostly European trains will use this system. You can actually now create a power functions motor shunter that uses push rods with 2 wheels, and that will give you a much greater detail of realism than what we've seen in previous products right now. So this is a great way to add some realism to your train set, and as you can tell, it does not fall off. Obviously this is not the right train for using push rods. So that has been my proof of theory and how to create push rods on the power functions and the RC series of Lego trains. I will be further extrapolating this idea, and I will be making custom rods. I don't want to ruin these parts because these parts are from the Lego cargo train right here, and therefore I will be purchasing more of these parts, preferably in either black or gray so they don't stand out so much, and I will be putting on thinner push rods and cutting them down to size, and I will be posting that video soon. So that's it for now. Enjoy your trains, whether they're old or whether they're new, and have fun. Peace out, guys.